Okay, I think this is first item on the agenda, of course, is the approval of the September minutes, which were sent out by Pat last, I believe, was it Sunday, Pat?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a motion, is there any changes to the minutes as submitted?
I just wondered if Pat got my changes.
Yes, I did, but since they didn't change content, I was waiting until we all talk about it, then I'll put everything in.
Okay, good.
Pat, did you get my text this afternoon?
Do you have another copy?
I'm sorry?
Did you get my text this
Of the minutes?
afternoon with 2 changes?
No, because I was out working in the yard, but I'll pick it up tomorrow. Is it anything with content or just
Grammatical.
good?
Okay,
As long as I get the content, I
Okay.
can say.
The content's fine.
okay, apparently there was a couple changes to the minutes that,
Okay, we're on the air.
oh. Okay, well, you just joined us in progress. We just had the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, and now we're going to be starting with the minutes, the approval of the September minutes. I believe there's been a couple changes. Pam, you had a change concerning what?
Just a couple of name spellings.
Okay,
They
fine.
were all grammatical, that's all.
That's fine. Okay. If that's the only changes that we have? If not, a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. There's a couple changes that I would like to make. Are there any revisions to the agenda? I have a couple, but if not, I'd like to. First of all, on the action items.
St. Pierre?
Yes.
I would like to add as an action item a recommendation for the purchase of property on Ferry Road to allow access to the ferry trails between Ferry Road and Island. So I can pass a yay or a nay along to the Township Board, please.
Could you repeat that, please?
Requesting that we add a recommendation of purchase of real property on Ferry Road to access ferry trails between Ferry Road and Island. Because we are still technically in negotiations, I'd like to leave the address off of that and unidentified, but we certainly know what that is, and the board will at the meeting.
I would suggest we put that as the first action item. Can we do that? Okay. Are there any other changes to the agenda? I have one. I would like to, at this time, remove the action item to begin work on the Manchester Woods Trail extension. I think we're just a tad premature in doing that. I'm not saying we're going to do it, but we're just going to hold off until all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed before we start going in and start making that extension. I guess we have to.
You need a motion to approve that.
I would also bring to the chairman's attention the proposed trail extension for Ferry Woods
Yes.
as a matter to consider for deletion.
That item as well for the same reason. All right. Can we have I think, one motion to amend the agenda as submitted? First of all, to eliminate the begin work on the Manchester Woods at this time, and also the eliminate the proposed trail extension for Ferry Woods, and also
I would ask that we separate the removals from the add-ons, if we could, Mr. Chairman.
From the add-on items?
Correct.
Okay, all right. And that we add the item to recommend approval to purchase the property extension on Ferry Road. Okay. Well, I got that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Okay. Let's start off with Carl, as far as the reports from the township.
Well, I'm certain that everyone here knows that we have made an offer on the Wright Woods property, the 30 acres directly south of Manchester and east of Meridian, west of the homes on East River. And that has been approved by the Township Board, subject to a Phase 1 environmental study analysis to make sure that there's not contamination that we would be buying on that. I'm pleased to report the vote on that was 4-2, and the township is engaged in the Stage 1 or Phase 1 of the environmental research right now, study to make sure that we do not have contaminants there. So it is hoped that we would be able to approve this and have the purchase of the property completed within the next several months, definitely by the end of the year. And I wish to also thank and note that there was a significant amount of study and work that was done by Pat Nielsen as well as by Cliff St. Pierre, so that the board members would know particulars as to the reasons behind it. There was an extensive debate at the board level, and I believe that your input certainly helped sway one or two board members, and I thank you for that and appreciate your hard efforts and work on that. I'd also recognize that Dale Ream, as the township manager, spent a large number of hours negotiating and going back and forth between the parties, as well as providing some of the research that made all of this possible. So our thanks to Dale as well. Now, as to the other matter, I anticipate that we're going to be, again, using Dale and the offices of the township when it comes to looking at the price of the property and the valuation on the property that we're contemplating on Ferry Road. And I look forward to having that study done within the next 2 weeks so we can present something to the board forthwith. And I thank you.
Good. Bert, is there anything new with the Conservancy?
So the Grosdale Nature and Land Conservancy will be having our annual meeting on Saturday, November 10th at 10 a.m. at the Grosdale Golf and Country Club. So all year we've been celebrating our 25th anniversary. The speaker will be Susan White. She is the new refuge manager of the Detroit River International Wildlife Refuge. So she'll bring stories about her experience doing conservation work in the Caribbean and most recently managing wildlife refuges in Hawaii. And now she's back in really her home state. She was raised in Macomb County. So we hope that everyone will come and experience the annual meeting that day. And the day before, Friday, November 9th, is the annual Owl Prowl that we offer at 7 p.m. at Centennial Farm. And that's always a fun family event. That's about it.
Thank you very much, Bert. The recreation representative is not here this evening. He's got some work issues he had to deal with, and so we'll just bypass that report for this evening. The beautification committee, Pam.
We just put a plaque, a marker, at the whirligig that we, the southwest corner of Four Corners, we wanted to dedicate to the memory of Art Kester, who was a long-serving member of the Beautification Committee and president or chairman for many years. And he and Claire, his wife, loved watching birds in their backyard. So we put a whirligig, we call it, in the southwest corner, and we just put a plaque up that honors the memory of his long service to the community. And then I'm wondering if Carl could put this on the screen up here. I mentioned last meeting that Irma Slimko got the Individual Service Award for all the weeding she's done, and she did a beautiful watercolor of the lighthouse, which she donated to the Historical Society, and they're using that as a fundraiser for the Historical Society. And she got the Individual Service Award. Well, she is a weeder extraordinaire. She's no longer on our beautification committee, but she can't drive by that planter at the entrance to Grosse Ile, at Parkway and West Jefferson, and you see the weeds that she confronted. And if you could flip that over to the next page, this is the before, and Irma is a champion weeder and gardener, and this is what it looks like now. And she planted 13 mums, and it looks much more cared for, and I just wanted to give her a hand for noticing the planter. Most of the time it looks pretty well taken care of and planted, but she can't drive by and see weeds without stopping and pulling weeds up. And then she made it look even better at the entrance to the island. So she's well deserving of an Individual Service Award because she cares about the community, and she is very diligent about keeping it looking cared for. And that's about it.
Who has overall responsibility for that garden?
The one at the entrance?
Talking about. Yes, the one at the entrance to the island.
Well, it was a joint effort of Grosse Ile and DTE Energy, and Bert was involved in organizing it, I think, back when it first came in.
Right, it is DTE property, and I know they always have intentions to maintain it. It's a question of when they get out there, and if Irma beats them to it, I'm sure they're not sorry.
Okay, I've always wondered who.
Yeah, I'll send an email to the plant manager, Mike Dunlap, and then he can probably at least send a note of thanks or something to Irma.
Good, thank you.
Ma'am?
That was it.
Thank you. We wish we could have a guest report from the Bike Path Commission. I will contact the chairman of the BPAC, is that what the official name is, and ask him to forward the copies of the minutes to me. If we can't get a liaison, but it'll be nice if we could have a liaison so that we could continue to have communication efforts between the I call it the Bike Path Committee and the Open Space Committee, because I'm sure there's a lot of activities and issues that are being addressed by both committees, and if we communicate to each other, I think it'll be a benefit all concerned. So I'll take that upon myself to see if we can't break that issue and see if we can get a member to attend our meetings. There being no guest here this evening, we will dispense with the public comments. And the next item is our project status, and the first item is the school liaison update. Bert?
Okay, I'm happy to introduce Linda Worsley as our high school liaison to the Open Space Committee. So welcome, Linder. If you want to tell us what the Grosdale High School Environmental Awareness Club is doing, or
As of now, we're just kind of getting started, trying to get as many members as we can, kind of advertising around the school. We haven't really done much yet because school just started not that long ago, but we're hoping to start up collecting the recycling from the different classrooms for our schools very soon, and we're happy to do anything that we can help with for this committee.
okay, great. And thanks so much for showing up on short notice.
Linda, if we could have your telephone number and your email address so that we can make sure we give you copies of the minutes of the meeting and any pertinent information. I want you to know that we welcome you to our committee as the liaison, and I'm sure that if there's anything that you need from us as far as the Open Space Committee is concerned, we'll be glad to assist you in any way possible. So welcome aboard, and thank you very much for volunteering.
Thank you so much.
The welcome letters, John, could you give us an update on the welcome?
Yes, we had 16 more letters, welcome letters to new homeowners, went out last month. I mean, by that I mean in September. And with Donna Deppa's help, she's very prompt in getting the list to me. Makes it very easy.
Very good. Okay, John, thank you so much. That's a very important effort that John has taken over to make sure that when people move to the island, the first time they get a complete information pack as to what Grosdale is like, both from the open space perspective and from the general community. So thanks for your work, John. The next issue is the big item that's coming up in the next couple of weeks, and that's the Stuff the Junk, Find a Treasure. And Daryl and Pat have been working on this project.
Would you put this on there? Thank you.
You get a bonus for all of this.
Yes.
So if you tell us what's going on and between Pat and Daryl.
Yeah, Pat made up these flyers and did a very good job on Dump the Junk. Do you want to add anything to that, Pat?
We took Ted's recommendation and I sent him the flyer to Ted, and he has it scrolling on the community calendar on the television. And the reason I'm giving each one of you one, and I will make sure you get one, I'll send it to you, is that you can take it to your church or someplace where you think it would be a good place to let people know about this event, and we'll have some publicity that way. Daryl, you want to say anything else?
No, I'm pretty good.
Well, then I'll say a little bit more.
We'll put the volunteers on.
Yep, the volunteers. We started off saying we needed 9 volunteers for the event, and you can see that we have far more than 9. However, I did send out we have a list of what I call friends of the Open Space Committee. I sent out a request to them for volunteers. Pam very nicely put it in was it the Grand, Pam? Mm-hmm. And we have generated interest. I have been receiving emails where people saying, can I bring this, can I bring that, and whatever. So that, again, we are trying to publish what you can and cannot bring. That is being routed around, and we have that information being made more available. The people who have worked on this event in the past asked to have a little sheet that would guide them as to what they should and should not accept. So I made up that little sheet, and hopefully it will help you. We are going to count the number of cars that come in to get some idea of the residents' participation, so that when we evaluate the future of Dump the Junk, we have a little bit more data to see where we're going with this project. And I am, as I say, I'm surprised that people have even been somehow getting on my Facebook and asking questions. So there's more people than usual, at least that are getting the message. Yep, there's the guidelines. Now, the schedule that's there has long shifts. As I receive more volunteers, I will shorten the shifts. So folks get more people volunteering, and it'd be really nice if we could get it down to 2 hours or 1.5 hours for people. But we have time to pick up more people for volunteers, so at least we know we have enough to do a good job. Cliff? I want to thank Cliff and Daryl. They put all the signs up. And thank you. Anything else, Daryl?
I think we got it covered.
Okay.
And then Cliff's got...
Linda, if you can rustle up some teenagers, that would be great.
Yeah, I was going to say I can put the signs around the school, and I'm sure I could put it in the announcements and say that we need volunteers. If you can just tell me the times or something.
Yeah, I'll get all of this out to you and email you.
Sounds
Let
good.
you get on top of that. Thank you.
I have a question, Cliff.
Yes.
Pat, you've got Jack and me signed up. Do we have a 2-hour shift? 12:30 to 2:30?
No, you're down for the whole thing,
Oh,
but we'll get you out of it. Don't worry. But you'll notice that Bert and Jack they specified, so if you don't want to be there that long, just tell me how long you want to be there.
well, I don't want you to be short, but looks like you've got 4. How many do you really need on duty at a time?
We need to have 4 at a time. That's why we said for the whole day we needed 9, and that gave us 1 extra. And we do have the township support, so we don't really need all of you there for that length of time. So if you want to cut your time down, let me know. But I feel comfortable with who we have now. So, and again, it depends on how busy, too. You know, if it's rainy or it's cold or something, we don't need as many people there because that many people don't come. Pam?
What's that?
Are you okay with that?
Yeah, well, we should plan on being there till 4.
No, I have the feeling you might just want to be there an hour and a half. I'll put you down for an hour and a half.
Well, I'm sure we could handle 2 hours.
Okay. Why don't we put you down for 2? And maybe we can knock it down for everybody to 2 hours.
Yeah, I
Okay.
don't want
Thanks,
you to
Pam.
come short of personnel. But maybe if the high
have
school...
all of these young teenagers helping us, and that'd be great.
I'll contact the people that told me they would come. I see Susie is already signed up, but there's a couple others that
Good.
are missing.
Anything else, Pat?
Nope,
Daryl?
I think
Okay.
that's it for now.
Thank you very much for both of you for the efforts in getting this thing from 0 to 100%. Looks like we're going to have a very successful event this time. Again, thanks to both of you. Moving down to the action items, the first item we have is the addition of the recommendation to purchase real property on Ferry Road. Carl, could you formally state that. I believe you want to state that as a motion for us to review and approve.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for the commission to make a recommendation to the Groseal Township Board for the purchase of property on Ferry Road to access the ferry trails between Ferry Road and Island.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second it.
All those,
A little bit of history on this. We have been in discussions with the landowner for approximately a year. The proposed path would be a location away from his home and the adjacent property owner as well, as shown in a conceptual drawing to be presented to the Township Board. There will be additional landscaping that will be added to screen the homes from the trail, as shown in the conceptual drawing to be presented to the Township Board. And then the Township would pay the closing costs and fees on that. And that is a verbal agreement to purchase the property for approximately $90,000 with those conditions. And that would provide access that replaces the segment of the trail that was on private property but generally allowed to be used by the public, by the homeowner. And as we'll all recall, approximately a year and a half ago, that property was purchased and now has 2 homes that are near completion. And unfortunately, the proximity of wetlands and the configuration of the trail where it was located, as well as the footprint of the houses, meant that that trail would come within feet of garages and yards. And the new homeowners, while they're sympathetic, indicated that they did not want to have that continue, so that's led us to search for a new replacement. And this lot is available and has been the subject of discussions between the township manager and the homeowner, as well as various members of this commission, for approximately the last 10 months. So it's been active, and we hope to have everything finalized to present to the Township Board for the next meeting on October 22. So that's the motion, and asking for the commission to approve that.
Pam has seconded. And call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Thank you very much.
I have a question. Carl, I'm looking at the open space map, and we own open space there in the Ferry Woods. Would this trail take that yellow section that is open space and connect with Ferry?
It would. And you will note that open space on the north end, there are 2 connections. One that's popularly looked at as the Gage Road entrance. There is another entrance to the far east off of East River that is very hard for anyone to find, and it's simply purely pedestrian. But the Gage Road entrance offers access for people that come up by vehicle and park along Gage or Island Boulevard. So if you had a yellow marker, Pam, you would be adding a link between the Island Avenue Ferry Woods open space and Ferry Road. And that's what we're asking the Township Board to consider and to approve. So it would be a direct link between Gage through Island Ferry Woods to Ferry Road.
And would it be just big enough to accommodate a trail, or would it be wider than just a trail?
It is wider than a trail, just a trail space. The property, without disclosing the location of the property because we are in negotiations, it would be very, very comfortable to be used by pedestrian traffic. And we would also be respecting the privacy interests of the homeowners on both sides. So to answer your question, yes, it will do the job.
Okay, any other questions before we move on? Okay, thanks for all your work on this, Carl, and I appreciate it.
Now, again, I look at the commission here that has such enthusiastic and interested persons. Again, Bert Urbani has spent a lot of time on this. This has been the subject of study sessions that we've had. And certainly yourself, Cliff, we have worked on this. It's been a team effort. I think everybody has been supportive and genuinely interested. And this would be a link between properties that we have to allow access. So, again, thank you, everybody.
Mr. Chairman, since we have two very new members on this committee at each end of the bench, could we hear the precise source of the $90,000?
The township has previously had a millage for open space funds, and the open space funds were voted by and approved by the voters years and years ago. This project would be paid for by open space funds. And there's no new millages, there's no new taxes. What we are doing is using resources that were provided by the township voters upwards of a decade ago, and they have sat dormant and unused. And we now have a piece of property that is high on the list that Chairman St. Pierre has championed over the last several years with priority purchases. And this would be the second purchase if it's approved this year. Actually this quarter, that would link Ferry Road, provide access there between two roads and through 49.8, 49.7 acres of open space in the back. It's a marvelous undeveloped piece of property full of potential and options for Greenways open space.
Okay, I just want to give next item is the final report on the maintenance for the open space trails. I think we have completed all the maintenance work on the 4 official trails that we have. I think the first one is the Wildlife Sanctuary Trail, and I believe that I think that the work has been done, it's completed, and is paid for.
Okay.
The next item is the moving down is the Playscape Trail, and I think Pam, you reviewed that, and there were just a couple spots where the deer have damaged the trail a little bit, but I think it's in pretty good shape. Other than that, am I correct?
Yeah, I just did an inspection today, and I mentioned last time that maybe a future Eagle Scout project might be to clear all the stumps and the fallen trees over that stream, because it looks kind of neglected there. But it would need some manpower to get down there with a chainsaw. And I noticed the logs are still there. There are weeds in a few spots. The heavy rain washed some of the chips away, but I'm thinking next spring I'll do another report and see, because I think it's too late to put more chips down now. And I noticed at the end of the trail, it used to circle around a large tree. It doesn't do that anymore. But it looks like there's some chips that go halfway around and make a kind of loop at the end of the trail. And next spring, I think making that loop a little more defined would be a good idea, so that walkers that are back there have access to the trail and an ending to it so they can circle back.
Yeah, I think your point is well taken. I think if we wait until the next season to when we have to, almost like an annual event for the maintenance of the trails, we take those items into consideration and make those corrections.
And I thought maybe if we can work it out with, who is it, TNT that does our maintenance?
Yes.
I thought maybe if I could meet them there, I could show where where I thought the loop could be expanded and finished off and be more defined than it is now.
We could certainly do that.
Okay, good.
The next, moving down to the Centennial Farm, Darrell, I think you reviewed that trail and said it was in pretty good shape.
Yeah, they did a real good job spreading the mulch and everything, and they kept the grass area green, and I was real happy with that.
And last but not least, of course, is the Manchester Trail. And Bert, I think you looked at that trail, and after T&T got through with it, and I think you were pretty satisfied with it?
Yeah, I was satisfied. It seemed like they had really gotten most of the chips all the way back. It's a very long trail, and the low areas were filled in, so they did a good job.
Okay.
Cliff, I have one final comment. I noticed when I drove by the trail that you supervise, there was a whole bunch of Girl Scouts there. And it looked like they had done a little trailing down that trail because they were taking their picture by the open space sign. So it's nice to know that we've got young people out using the trails.
That's great.
I think I skipped over an item here. One which is the final, finalized and updated open space overseer assignments. I think if all of you will look at, there's a sheet that I've made available to you which lists everybody. I think we have this thing pretty well locked in now. If there's any changes, this is still a proposal. Let me just review it. The north end, John has graciously accepted to take care of the almost all the open space areas at the north third of the island, of course with the exception of the wildlife sanctuary, which is Pat Nielsen's responsibility. And again, John, thank you for taking on this task. We certainly appreciate it.
Glad to do it.
And if there's any changes in this list, please let me know. This is a fluid thing. If something happens and you want to change it or want to switch, or if something happens, please let me know. In the midsection, there's a lot of areas which are very, very small. The middle section, the Lowry Greenway, I've taken over the Stout Woods, and there's some other items. The Island Avenue, which will include the Ferry Woods, I've left that open until such time as we have the trail complete and approved, and then we will make that assignment. And there's some items in here which are not technically open space, but we have the Macomb overlooked, and some of those items are responsibility of the Grosse Ile Nature Land Conservancy. If there's any errors in that, please let me know. In the south end, I've got the Centennial Farms trail for Darrell, Burt, Manchester Woods, and Darrell's got Albemarle Meadows. So this is the proposal as I see it right now as far as the overseer assignments is concerned. If there's anything on this list that you disagree with or want to change, please let me know. If you want to do it now, we can do it now. So, John, are you satisfied with what you've got?
Yes.
Okay. In the middle section, Bert on the Macomb Overlook and the waterfront park, is that correct? For the Conservancy?
Right.
Okay.
And also Intrepid Pond.
Yeah, I got that in the south end.
Right.
Okay, yeah. And when I put none, not required, that means these areas are in such a location or such a small size that they don't really require an overseer assignment. However, if anybody feels that they'd like to take it over, they're free to do so. In the south section...
Wait a second, Cliff, just correction, Waterfront Park, number 20. The official name is Sunrise Park.
Sunrise, okay. Where did I get waterfront from?
That's what we had been calling it before the
Where
township.
it's located.
Yeah, the township had a contest. a year
It
or
came
so
off the
ago.
big map.
Okay. Pardon me?
Came off the big map. It
Yeah, it
shows
did.
waterfront
Right.
park.
So that should be Sunrise, okay. Okay, on the south end, if I'm going too fast, please slow me down. I got the recreation trail and the Loma Circle. Those are rather isolated areas which felt that we didn't need an overseer assignment. And Trepid Pond is a Grosse Seal Nature Land Conservancy. Darrell, you've got the Centennial Farm, open space. Bert, you got Manchester Woods. Olden Marsh, there's nobody assigned to that one. And Darrell, you got Albemarle Meadows, and then Conservancy has got the airport property. So this just gives us the overseer assignments consist of periodic reviews of the area. You don't have to go into the area every month or every 2 months. Just be aware of anything that might go on that you need to report. If there's a fallen tree that occurs in this one of these open spaces, which must be removed, you will be contacted. Now, John, I think you were contacted by either Lorinda or about a couple of trees in
Yes.
your area.
Yes.
So those are going to be taken.
Yeah, Tom called me today.
Good. Okay, thank you. So, if not, I'll make that one change for the Sunrise Park. And again, if there's a future changes that need to be made, please let me know.
Cliff, I have a question. I had never realized I was supposed to take a look at the Parkway Woods. And are there any trails in there? Or?
No, just as far as the trail is concerned, the trail is yours, and the Parkway Woods, if you know, there's that area between.
Yeah, I see it on the map here.
Yeah, just be aware of if something comes up in that area that draws your attention. Let me know. Okay.
Well, if
There are
looks
no
like
trails in the Parkway Woods from the Playscape to Grosse Seal Parkway.
Well, I know in just driving by there are a lot of trees that have died out because of being in water constantly. And I don't know whether are we ever going to have any of our wood cutting again that we've done in years past?
That's a good point. I think that might come up when we get to the thing that says review member responsibilities.
Yes.
Because the gentleman who managed that program has left our team here. So what we currently have going on that is we have the permit available for people to go to the administrative office and get their permit and then just go out in the restricted times and everything that the permit says that they have. But we used to, in the past, have in the spring and the fall cutting where we would look at an area that was starting to have a lot of fallen trees and we wanted to have it cleared up. And so I think one of the things we're going to have to identify is who would be willing to take over that program. The one part of the program is self-sustaining. People just go and get it. Margie sends me a copy of the permit. So we have on record the permits of everybody who has requested one. And those are the people who go on our list as friends of the open space. So that is when we have a notice of what's going on with this group, I send out a communication to everybody who has those wood cutting permits to let them know what's going on. And then people along the way who have helped us with Dump the Junk are also on the Friends communication.
Okay. Does that answer your question?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not a hazard or anything. It just it's kind of too bad to see all those tall dead trees that eventually will come down.
Yeah.
Okay. The next item is the replacement for a retired committee member, and I'd like to address this to the folks that may be watching on TV tonight. The membership consists of 7 full-time members who are voting members of the committee, and right now we have 6, so we have an opening for one more committee member. And if anybody's out there is interested in volunteering for an open space committee membership, just go down to the township hall and get a application form, and you will be interviewed, and hopefully we'll find a resident out there who is interested in volunteering for one of our many township committees and commissions. The next item is the membership responsibilities, and I'd like to open this up for a little discussion. I think we have what I want to do is make sure that we have an even spread of everybody participating. Everybody has an equal workload. Some people have more than others, and we do have a shortage of one person. So I'd like to start on at the left end. John, you are taking care of the welcome
Yes.
letters, and with the areas of responsibilities you have for almost the entire north end of the island, you're going to be a pretty busy person.
Well, that's the kind of thing I signed on for.
Another activity that we have is, Pam, you're not a full-fledged member, but you are a valued liaison, and you have also taken over one of the areas of responsibility for a playscape. And Daryl, you and Pat have taken over the Dump the Junk program for this year. I think one of the things we will want to do is, after we complete this year's program, is take a look at it and see what went right, what went wrong, to determine whether we should continue with the program, whether we should make some changes or whatever. And Bert, and you've done a lot of work with regard to the ferry trail, and I appreciate that. And as far as responsibility is concerned, you're an overseer, and you do many other things. What other things do you do besides? What I'm trying to do is try to, first of all, determine what everybody does, and secondly, to see if one person is doing much more than everybody else.
Well, with open space, I oversee that. I was involved a lot with Ferry Trail and drawing up the proposals. That's about it.
Okay.
I do a lot with the Conservancy, though, so I'm kind of up to my eyeballs in Conservancy stuff.
Okay. Pat?
I do the minutes. I do the trail, wildlife. I maintain sending out notices to the friends. I send information to Ted to be put on our electronic communications. I guess that's basically it.
Okay, I just wanted to get a better feel for and let people know what we all do. If there's if there's any of you that feel that you want to spread this out a little bit more, let me know, and I'll make some arrangements. I want to make sure that the new member who comes on board, whoever he or she may be, that he becomes involved and just doesn't. I don't want to have people on here who are going to attend a meeting once a month and then not do anything. So, fortunately, we don't have that type of situation.
Chairman, you have a vacancy on the Island Avenue Ferry Woods TBD.
Yes.
I'd like to take care and maintain that. I have easy access from our home to that, and very much enjoy being part of that.
I think that just about takes care of it. We're going to have another meeting next month in November. Between now and the next meeting, if there's any other items that you feel we should be talking about or planning for or doing, let me know ahead of time so I can get the item on the agenda, if possible. And again, Lorena, thank you very much for volunteering. Is there any other, I'd like to just start down at the left end here, any other comments?
Is it correct that there is no December meeting?
That is correct. Pat? You have nothing, Pam, I'm sorry.
In listening to you when you first started this conversation, I'm on the committee, but I'm not a voting member. Is that what I heard?
That's right, that's the liaison,
Oh,
yeah.
so I can't vote on any issue?
That's correct. And I think I made this clear that we have yourself, we have Kyle DeBassett, who's on the Recreation Commission. We have Bert, who takes care of is on the Conservancy, but is also a full-fledged member, as approved by the Township Board. And then we have Linner, who is the new representative from the Grosse Ile Schools.
Does she have a vote? Or
No.
No?
No. Okay, any other comments or questions? Darrell?
I'm good.
Okay, I'm good. Bert?
I'm good.
Good. Lorena?
I was wondering for the junk thing. Sorry, I can't think of the name right now.
Dump the junk.
Dump the junk.
Treasure.
Okay. For high school students that volunteer, would they be able to use that for NHS hours? Because I know that that's going to be a question that I get asked when I bring this up.
For what kind of hours?
National, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. National Honor Society hours, because we have to have 20 hours of volunteer work.
You have a
semester.
teacher who is your overseer?
Yes, but
I think she would have to answer that.
Okay, I
She'd
think
have
it
to
would
go.
have to be someone here would have to sign off on how long we stay.
If
Yes.
we'll set it up, and then we'll do whatever you tell us you want us to do.
Okay, thank you.
We'd be just glad to have
Happy
you.
to do that.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else, Carl?
No, sir, I'm fine.
Okay, I think you wanted to after the meeting. Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.